Hello and welcome. Can you believe it? This is my 100th video. I can hardly believe it, but it seems like cause for celebration. Okay, kidding aside, I'm really gratified that there's enough interest out there to support 100 videos. I look back at that first one that I did and I cringe. Oh goodness. It was a video of a bike that I was fixing up for my outreach ministry donations. And somewhat against my better judgment, there will be a link to that at the end of this video. But speaking of this video, it's going to be kind of a discussion video. The last 2 weeks I've been laid up with a bad foot, so I haven't done a lot of riding. That doesn't mean I haven't been busy, just doing other things. So I'm going to have 3 short updates for you. Well, maybe 2 updates and an idea that could be very good or it could be very bad. And I'm kind of hoping that you will weigh in on that. The first update has to do with my Mongoose Dolomite. As you may recall from prior videos, I upgraded that to an 8-speed Sunrace cassette, freewheel, with a 34-tooth climbing gear for first or low gear. And I was going to upgrade the front from a 36-tooth chainring to a 34, maybe a 32. But in practice, it turned out that the 36-tooth gear was fine. However, the rear derailleur I bought from a fellow on eBay, it was advertised as being a 6, 7, or 8-speed tourney. And this is it. Well, as it turns out, you may already know this, I did not at the time, but tourneys are only rated for a maximum of 7 speeds. So what I've been doing is running the Dolomite with 1st through 7th gear. In other words, not using that very smallest gear. And in practical terms, that's not that big a deal because I can't imagine when I would be running that thing full blast. But I like to have things work the way they're supposed to. So I purchased a 9-speed EVO. I got a long cage. Probably could have gotten by with a medium cage, but why not go for the long cage? I'll be putting that on sometime in the coming week. And so that's update number 1, the Mongoose Dolomite, which incidentally, I have just been having all kinds of fun with this winter. It's sub $300 initial purchase price, and I've probably got, I don't know, less than 350 bucks into it, and is just all kinds of fun. I really do recommend that bike if you want to get into fat biking on a budget. My second update has to do with my retirement bike, which I am affectionately calling the Gold Watch bike build. And you would probably have to be of a certain age to understand that joke. Here's the thing. At the end of June 2020, I am retiring. It seems a little surreal. I'm 59 years old. I'll turn 60 in early June. And the way my employer's retirement system is set up, I can retire at 60, so I'm going to. As I tell folks, when I began working for the state of Maine, I had red hair and a great deal more of it. So here is a mid-build update. I'm still waiting on a few parts. One thing I want to mention is this, the crankset that I bought for it. I love the way it looks, the polished face and the semi-gloss black. The thing is, this Pro Wheel chain set, crank set, excuse me, is a 56 tooth to 46 tooth. That's a pretty good size set of gears. I'm not entirely certain, but I think that might have been for a time trial bike. That's not the kind of rider I am. So I also picked up a set of Shimano chain rings. Functional, not particularly pretty. I don't know, I guess I could polish them, get some shine out of it. Anyway, this is a 52-42, sort of a more manageable gear range. That said, here is the mid-build update. So, the retirement bike is beginning to take shape with the installation of some of my parts. I'm still waiting on a couple, so I guess you could call this sort of a mid-build update. Let's start up front. I have a Wake 110mm stem with a 17-degree rise. I understand that back originally these were intended for mountain bikes, but you know what? I don't care because it gives me a more upright riding position, which is what I'm after. I've never been a big fan of being bent way over the front. After all, I'm not a pro rider. At best, I'm an enthusiastic amateur. Speaking of riding position, this is the Wake/PMP aluminum handlebar. 420 millimeters wide. I chose the medium width out of the three that were available. And as you can see, it's got a fairly shallow curve, again leading to a somewhat more upright riding position. Moving down the bike is one of the two, obviously, Tektro brakes that I got from my local bike shop. These are dual pivot brakes. Now this one, I had to finagle the fitting a little bit. If you look right in there, you can see that I used the convex concave shims from an old brake pad to move it out just a little bit because the back of it was hitting on the fork. I have Continental Ultra Sport 2s on both ends. These are 700C by 28. The rims are 700C by 25. And they are Alex Rims brand. These are in fact aluminum, double wall, and they have Claris hubs, front and back. This is just a placeholder seat. It's a $12 seat that I got from Wish, and honestly I can't remember why I bought it last year, but I did and never used it for anything. I'm leaning towards something lightweight, not necessarily carbon fiber, but the carbon fiber saddle that I have on my Nishiki has been really good, so that's a possibility. I've got this aftermarket seat post. I bought it specifically because of the 2-bolt adjustment. I like that rather than the single bolt that came with the bike. It's a lot more versatile for getting a good fit. And kind of a silly little thing here, but at Dick's Sporting Goods I picked up a pair of semi-gloss, I'll call it silver bottle cages. They kind of coordinate with the rims, and they do look good against the black. And I've decided to leave the existing factory graphics. These appear to have been screen printed on, and honestly, I didn't feel like sanding and repainting the entire frame. If I could have peeled them off, I might have done something different, but you know what? It's not bad looking. Moving further down, oh, there's the Vantage 5.0 branding. I've installed the external bearings. These were unbranded. They came with the crank set that I was describing earlier. These will be good enough for now. I will probably get myself a brand name, probably Shimano, to have on reserve just in case these go belly up on me, but I'm not going to go looking for trouble either. Here's the rear brake, dual pivot Tektro. These are mid-tier brakes. As I mentioned in my previous video, I got them at my local bike shop for a really good price, and they, I think, are going to fit just perfectly once everything gets final alignment. And in the back here, this, I'm trying to get a good angle. Here we go. This is a Shimano Tiagra 10-speed cassette with an 11 to 32 tooth range. I considered getting an off-brand, but you know what? This is my retirement bike. I don't want to cheap out. And Tiagra is a good mid-tier product line from Shimano, so I'm confident that this will work out well. So there you have it, the mid-build update on my retirement bike. It's coming together quite well, and I gotta admit, I do like the way the aluminum colored rims and the shiny rear cassette. Yeah, I know, it's shiny, I'm attracted. But I like the way the silver stuff coordinates, or contrasts, I guess is the right word, contrasts with the black frame. I think this is going to be a good looking bike when it's all said and done. Do that again. And number 3, the final update of a sort. What follows may be a very good idea, or it may be a very bad idea. It is certainly an idea, and I don't know, I love tinkering with bikes, if that's not evident already. And the thought of taking that Hyper SpinFit, which I'm calling the Mark II, because it's the second one I've heavily modified, although it's the third one I bought. I just like the looks of that frame set, the geometry of it, and the red and the black. And there are videos that I've done about how and why I came to that bike. I'll link to those as well. Yeah, so here is my possibly good, possibly bad idea. You tell me. So here's the update and the potentially good, potentially bad idea that I mentioned earlier. This is my Hyper SpinFit 700C. I refer to it as the Mark II because it's the second such bike that I've heavily modified. I switched this, to recap, from a 3x7 to a 1x8, and there's a detailed playlist for that. I'll link to it at the end. So as you can see, I put some inexpensive mud guards on it, which came in awfully handy yesterday when I went for a ride. There's a lot of snow melt on the road, and yeah, that's why she's a little on the dirty side. I didn't wash it because it wasn't that warm outside, and I'll clean her up sometime in the next day or two. Yeah, I know I should do it sooner, but I didn't. Now, I did say that I had a potentially good or a potentially bad idea, and let me show you what I'm thinking, and then you can tell me what you think. Using the stock stem from the EVO, which you saw earlier in this video, I'm able to attach a set of spare drop handlebars that I have kicking around. And that's because the EVO stem was set up for a 25.4 millimeter diameter clamp surface, and I upgraded to a modern 31.8 I believe, clamp surface on my road bike. So I could turn the Hyper into a drop bike bar fairly easily. All I would need is a new set of shift levers. Food for thought. What do you think? Should I go for it? Well, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and this goes back to the retirement build. I'm 59 years old, and I've been doing as serious as I ever get, cycling since the summer of 2017. I have never in my life ridden clipless. So for the retirement bike, you guessed it, I'm going clipless. I haven't bought a pair of shoes yet because I really do want to be careful and make sure I get some that are going to be comfortable for a long ride. So came with the cleats and the screws, which is fairly common. However, being a newbie to clipless, I'm hedging my bet. I got a set of conversion pads, I guess you would call them. If I can do this, because somebody's watching, it's not going to work. There we go. It turns a clipless pedal into a flat pedal. I know it's a little silly, but remember, I'm learning and I do not yet have my clipless shoes. So, if you enjoyed this video, and I certainly hope you did, please give me a thumbs up. It does help the channel. And subscribe if you have not already done so. Below left is a link to the Hyper SpinFit playlist. And below right is a link to the Mongoose Dolomite playlist. And as always, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it when you do. Bye.